Welcome back to another edition of the Witsup Weekly Grind. Now, last week we did not have the Witsup Weekly Grind because we had some of our podium finishes from the race in Cairns. We did have the champion Amelia Watkinson and third place getter Renee Kiley. What's the best way to say third place? Third, because you can say second runner-up, but I don't feel like second runner-up can be a little bit confusing. So third place getter doesn't sound like it's the correct terminology. So what do you say? Third placer? I don't know. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But what do you say? I just think third place getter sounds a little bit weird. Kate has already checked in. Great show last week. Thanks, Kate. And I have to agree, it was Amelia and Renee's quite raw and vulnerable and authentic response to the race and to our interview, which also had Belinda Granger on the couch as well, was quite unique. I don't think you typically get that kind of response at races. Well, I certainly haven't to that degree. And that's kind of, I love interviewing athletes straight after a race because usually, well, they're either, exhausted or, they're kind of on this adrenaline high and everything. But I guess the next morning, they've had a little bit of time to reflect on not just the race, but the build up to the race and all the emotions as well. So the day after the race can yield some really different responses to how the race played out. And yeah, we witnessed that with the two women last Monday. I guess as well, when we've hosted some of our Witsup panels at races, so some of the live panels, we've managed to get that out of athletes as well the morning after the race. And I think we actually did it in Cairns. Yeah, we did. In Cairns maybe 3 years ago. I think we had, I think it was 3 years. I could have that wrong, maybe 4 years. We had Jodie Cunningham, Lindsay Corbin. Oh gosh, we had one more athlete. Now I can't remember who it was. But we had them on the panel and it was really good just unpacking the race and sharing war stories and all that kind of stuff. So I think the day after the race can really yield some really different responses to questions. While we're just having a chat about last week with Cairns, I wanted to say a massive shout out to all of our followers, all of our supporters who tuned in for the coverage that we pulled together, both at the Sunny Coast and in Cairns. And Sunny Coast, we had Non Stanford on the ground giving us some really different, unique insights as the race played out. And then Belinda Granger was at Cairns as well. And the response from you guys has been phenomenal, just in terms of comments, sharing, private messages that I've received, private messages that say Belinda received as well. It's all been just outstanding feedback, and we really, really appreciate everyone letting us know that we put on a good show. So I really appreciate it. And then also on top of that, we had quite a few people join up to be Witsup patrons as well, which thank you. I cannot thank you enough. When people, just the comments, to be honest, gave us plenty of confidence that we have been doing the right thing, that we continue to do the right kind of thing, and not just in terms of putting on that coverage. Susanna Grace has just said you guys did an amazing job. Thank you, Susanna. But that sorry, to just take a step back, I just felt so strongly that it was really important for us to somehow bring those races to life over the internet, because I think across the globe right now, people are just looking for a bit of hope. They're looking for inspiration. And I think if we get to highlight these professional women, which is what we have done day in, day out for nearly 10 years, that's what I can bring to the party, to the global party, is that we can highlight these women and what they're trying to achieve. And the amount of comments I got in terms of, it got people out the door, especially here in Melbourne. We are still in some form of lockdown, but essentially we're not allowed outside of 5K radius of our house. And well, now we're allowed to be out for 2 hours, but I think with Sunny Coast, when that went ahead, we're only allowed out for about an hour. And I got quite a few private messages saying thank you. It sort of inspired me to get outdoors in a time and place where people are struggling with a little bit of motivation. So, and I always just feel like that's why it's one of the major reasons we want to highlight these incredible athletes, because we recognize that sport can tell many stories, and it doesn't matter what you capture or what you hold on to or what you gravitate towards, in some way, shape or form, you can be inspired. And so that's why myself and the team wanted to bring those races to you guys as well. Joe just said that's great news. People will pay for great coverage. And yeah, they've proven that by clicking on the Patreon website. So thank you so much, Jordan. So fun to have those interviews. Shame that all these PTO races aren't getting better coverage with interviews, etc. That's interesting. That's something that I think we'll be talking about in our meeting tomorrow, Jordan, I reckon. So that was how I just wanted to launch today's Witsup Weekly Grind by thanking all of you for not only contributing to the Witsup Patreon membership platform, but also just to continuing to give us the confidence that we are definitely on the right path in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what should be happening next week. So typically at this time of the year, I would be in Kona. Typically, I get out there about typically Friday week before the race. So we typically spend about 10 days out there, so a couple of days after the race, and then just over a week before the race. Sorry, that's probably about 12 days or so. And yeah, because for years and years and years, before Frankie was on the scene, I used to go out there quite early, quite a few years ago. Lizzie Blatchford asked me to head out there and help her with her preparation leading into race day. That was the year that she came third for the second time. And not that I do anything special or did anything special with her, but it was just someone to sort of be there with her, because at the time Glenn couldn't be there that early. And as a professional athlete leading into the biggest race of the year, it's important to have, your support team and everything. So I was out there super, super early with her, and it's been something that we've continued to try and do pretty much since then, because I recognize that a lot of athletes go out there a lot earlier than what they used to. When I first started going out to Kona, a week would be plenty of time to catch up with athletes, but now, and this is age group athletes as well. I mean, if you've been to Kona, what's the earliest you've been out to Kona to prepare for the race? I mean, I know some people who spend a month out there. So yeah, we try to get out there nice and early so that we can capture any interviews, catch up with the athletes before, because race week is freaking crazy and it just gets busier and busier each year. So race week now, and it's been a bit different because 2 years ago I had Frankie and she was only 7 weeks old. So we didn't go out until kind of the last week, race week. So we did all of our work in race week, but I really recognize that it's hard on athletes because they've got so many commitments. So I would prefer to get out there nice and early and, get some of the content and interviews, etc., that not everyone else is getting. So anyway, typically I'd be over in Kona well and truly by now, but that is not the case, as you are all well aware. Hopefully in 2021 we can be out there, but who knows what 2021 will bring us. Hannah Von Tanner, how are you? Legend. Out freaking standing. This is exactly what we need. Yeah, I agree. For those of you who, I guess no one will know who Hannah Von Tanner is in terms of Witsup, because she is Yvonne Spencer on our podcast. If you haven't listened to that episode of the Witsup podcast, you need to listen to that. Yvonne is just this ball of energy, an incredible leader in all of the fields that I think she's ever touched. It's a fantastic interview with her. If you need inspiration, that is definitely one to listen to. One of the only Black female, oh my God, hang on. Oh, I've forgotten the actual term. Colonels in the Air Force. So you need to check out that one. She said classified G14. I completely stuffed up our chat as well. I kept comparing her to the movie Top Gun and getting it all wrong. But I learned lots. But yeah, listen to that. We also did an interview with her called Lessons in Leadership. She's a badass. She's just awesome woman doing some amazing things in the world of triathlon as well. Head on over to the podcast for that. Joe Coomer says 17 days before in 2017, I was fortunate to be able to do my workout there. That's a really good point. There's a lot of age groupers who can get out there a lot earlier because they can work from home or whatever. Actually, that'd be interesting. Considering the whole world is pretty much working from home at the moment, when Kona comes back, can we all just work from Kona? Ooh, WFK, work from Kona. Everyone's going to be out there 2 months. Actually, because no one's going out there this year, maybe next year if the race goes ahead, we just all go out 2 months beforehand instead of 1 month. And then all of that money that should have been spent there in terms of tourism this year, we just spend next year. It's genius. Okay, Deborah, a month would be amazing. Usually a week to transition from, I thought that said winery Melbourne to volcanic Kona, but it's wintry Melbourne to, that's interesting as well. It can be really, really cold heading there from Melbourne. So 12 to 13 days. Sorry, she said 7 days, I think. Jordan usually goes out 12 to 13 days beforehand, but the first time since 2012 that she hasn't been to Kona. Yeah, I can't remember. I reckon I'd be pretty close to about being the same, I think. I have to go back through the archives. But we might be, the same. Jordan makes a good point. It would be very expensive if we spent 2 months in Kona. Yes, that is only for people who can afford it. Not a cheap place to stay for that amount of time. Joe has said, oh my God, you could have the Witsup Kona Work Hub. I like it. Why not? Oh, that shouldn't go over my face. Let's just push that down. Beep. Anna, I wish I need to be in the classroom, although I do have LSL. I don't know what that means. Okay, so anyway, what I wanted to, Deborah's just saying kind of winery at times too. That is true. I want to hear some of your Kona stories. I've got plenty of stories. I know Jordan, who's tuned in, she's got plenty of stories as well. I'm going to share one or two just while we're having a bit of a chat here at the moment. Oh my God, Joe's like, Jordan, we could all chip in and set up a triathlete commune. Oh my gosh, literally take over the place. Well, there's plenty of vacant land. Let's just set up some tents and stuff on the lava rocks. Why not? Seems safe. Hang out with the goats. Okay, so one of my favourite memories from Kona, I've already sort of touched on one of them, which was hanging out with Lizzie Blatchford, for those weeks leading into her race. That was absolutely a highlight for me. Other memories are, especially in the early years of Witsup, not that we're earning a whole bunch of money now, but I really couldn't afford to be spending money on accommodation for lengthy periods over there. So I would bounce from one place to another and basically couch surf. And I remember there was one place, Michelle Vesterby was staying, I think it was at Aliki Cove, right up the top. And I was walking, I think I'd stayed with Mary Beth Ellis for a couple of nights. And then I had to move to Michelle Vesterby's spare room because whoever was staying there had moved out. And I'm carting all of my camera gear and my luggage, because of course I didn't have a car or anything, so I had to walk everywhere, and then carrying my luggage all the way up to the top of the hill. I mean, it's fond memories. I don't think I could do that anymore, just because all of my camera gear, luggage, and Frankie just would, although she can walk now, so maybe she can start carrying some of my stuff. So yeah, there was that highlight. But I think, and I'm going to bring a picture up, one of my favorite highlights was back in 2017 when our best mate, Mark Bosworth, he had qualified to race, and he turned up with a 7-week-old, not a random 7-week-old, it was his son, but Boz, Ines, and Sam Bam all rocked up. We're all staying together with some mates as well, and Boz really wanted Brady to be there as well, but you know, we'd said we just can't afford for both of us to go over, etc., etc. And then Brady flew in I think it was probably about 5 days after Boz had arrived, and we surprised him out on the Queen K, which was a nightmare to try and organise. So essentially I told him, let's go for a drive, you go for a ride, I'll go and take photos and stuff, and why don't you do a point-to-point ride so that you can experience the majority of the Queen K without cooking yourself. Do a point-to-point, I'll drive, pick you up, and then drive home. So we did that, and then there was issues with him getting flats and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, dropped him at one end, just near the airport. He started riding. I drove in, picked up Brady. The idea was for Brady to then quickly build his bike and then ride up next to Boz and surprise him, but his bike didn't arrive from the mainland. So instead, we got Brady it was right at the end, just before you get off the Queen K, before you then sort of head down and then make your way up to Harvey. We got him to stand on the side of the road holding a bidon out. So Boz is just like riding along and then sees this random guy wearing his compression socks, because that's how he travels, like most triathletes do. Compression socks with shorts though. And just holding this drink bottle out to the side. I'm just going to bring up the photo because it's one of my favorites. And that is Boz recognizing that it is Chef Brady on the side of the road. So he had no idea that he was coming. So that's a really fond memory of ours. Have a look at Brady. That is disgraceful. The poor guy, he just got off the plane, and then we're straight into it. But he knows that's how we roll. Joe, let's share this story from Joe Coombe. Left Melbourne Thursday, 9 days before race, with Sean Foster, her coach, and her husband. There's a storm at Tullamarine. Flight was cancelled, slept at the gate. Oh, wow, at the airport. 2 nights in Auckland, arrived in Kona Sunday afternoon. You could say we were not acclimatised to the weather. Oh, gosh, travel. Oh, do you remember travel? Oh, it used to be amazing. Those kind of stories are some of my favourites. And it sucks at the time. Obviously, it sucks, but it's all part of the adventure, isn't it? I love it. I miss it. Alison, I nearly had to run into some bushes just before coming into a leaky drive as my tummy was not happy. Luckily, I made it to the finish and straight to a portaloo. Ooh, good times. And there's nowhere really to hide on a leaky drive because there's just houses everywhere. So you've done good. More stories. Keep bringing in your Kona stories. I want to hear from you. Here we go. Let's pop that up. So share some more Kona stories. And speaking of Kona, what we're trying to do is reminisce a little bit about Kona at the moment. So here are our plans, or one of our plans for this week. I'm still just finalising a couple of other things, but if you are based in Australia, Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Melbourne time, so does that mean it's 10 a.m.? Yeah, 10 a.m. in Queensland. We are going to have Chef Brady doing a cooking show which is Hawaiian themed. You'll see the different time zones around the world. So basically 11 a.m. in Melbourne is 5 p.m. On the Jordan, if you're still listening. Is that 5 p.m. on the West Coast, I think? And 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Anyway, I'll let you know. But that's Friday night if you are in North America, or Saturday late morning if you're in Australia, or if you're in New Zealand. I think it's going to be 1 p.m. We'll let you know. But anyway, Chef Brady is going to be teaching you guys how to make a poke bowl. Now, I don't do seafood, fish, or anything, so he has also he's going to be poaching some chickens so that I can actually get involved as well. But from what I understand, the pokey, you can use yellowfin tuna, which from what I understand is quite expensive in Australia at least. So he also recommends if you don't want to use tuna, you can use salmon, and we'll still get this, the same kind of flavors and greatness and deliciousness. So he's going to be cooking that. Yes, Jordan has just said, did you just change the clocks as this is usually 8 p.m. at night? Yes, clocks have changed here. Well, pretty much everywhere except for Western Australia at the moment. Actually, forget that. I can't remember what the deal is in Western Australia. But Queensland is the same time, but Melbourne and Sydney and Tassie and others have changed time. Thankfully, it was this weekend, not next weekend. Anyway, so Brady is teaching you how to create your own poke bowl. And then we're going to make an acai bowl as well, because it doesn't count if you're in Kona and you don't have a poke bowl and an acai bowl. Have you ever really been to Kona? And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to teach you how to make a pina colada as well. So we're going to have a whole bunch of fun with that. I know it might be a little bit early in Australia to be having a pina colada, but by the time the show kind of finishes, it'll be at least 12:01 p.m. So that's quite acceptable to have a pina colada. So anyway, watch out for details this week. That is going to be our Witsup Kona cooking show with Chef Brady. We're also sort of affectionately calling it, WFINR party. Well, I'm not racing party. So tune in, keep an eye out for that. Poke bowls, acai bowls, and pina coladas. Plus, we're going to be crossing live to a few special guests who will be not only cooking along, but we're going to share some stories while we're cooking. So keep an eye. We're going to be announcing who those special guests are throughout the week. Who would you like to hear from throughout the week? Not throughout the week, throughout our cooking show. And will you join us? We're going to give the ingredients list. Tomorrow we'll announce what the ingredients list is, so that you can go to the supermarket or grocery store, or you get them delivered, I don't know, however you get your food, and you can join in on the cooking show, cook along with us, and we get a little bit of a taste, a little bit of flavour of Kona, because we can't be there ourselves. So keep an eye out for that. We've got a couple of other things up our sleeve, but like I say, we are just trying to finalise those things. All right, what do we got here? Joe Coombe, yep, some of my favourite stories were actually as a supporter. I got to watch Trav Tremaine race one of the last races in Kona before he got cancer. Also watched my best friend Kristen race last year. She got a Kona dreaming slot. Oh, I love that. Anna and Deborah Neal both make some really good points. When you're in lockdown, it's 1 o'clock anytime and it'll be midday somewhere in the world. Correct. Are you guys going to join us for a pina colada, a poke bowl, and an acai bowl? Please do. Keep an eye out. More details to come this week. Let's take that scrolling thing off because now that's annoying me. Beep. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Let's have a quick look at what has happened this last weekend with Sid's Slam. Go. Oh, the wheel of death kills me. Just bear with me.
It's October. Where has the year gone? Oh yes, that's right. We were stuck in March for about 6 months, I think it felt like. But it is the first week in October, and this is Sid's Slam for the weekend. It was the PTO-supported Huntington Triathlon that took place this weekend, a fast and furious Olympic distance that saw some super fast and close racing, just 36 seconds separating the top three women. Jen Spieldenner took out the swim with Jeannie Seymour and Meredith Kessler just behind. Kessler took control on the bike, but all the women putting in some speedy bike legs. Starting the run, it was Kessler and Seymour running together, but it was Seymour who just had the edge. So Jeannie Seymour taking the win, in the end just 22 seconds ahead of MBK, who was just 13 seconds ahead of a very fast finishing Elisa Dola. Show's speedy bike and run gave her the third spot on the podium. I am making a mess of this today. It was a triathlon-like weekend, but after the past few weeks, but it was the London Marathon this morning, rescheduled from April, and a pro-only event. Everyone else could still run, but on their own at home. So the pros took on a 19-lap course of 2.15 kilometres around St James's Park, waving to the Queen as they went past Buckingham Palace. Kenyan Bridget Kosgei took the win in 2:18.58, but it was the second half run of American Sarah Hall, absolutely brilliant, which moved her from sitting in 9th place at halfway through the field, overtaking each woman in front of her. With just 600 metres to go, she was in third, and it looked like she was running out of road, but with just a few metres left, Hall made a final charge, catching second just literally metres from the line, and finished in second, 2:22.01, 4 seconds ahead of third, Ruth Chepnetchik, sorry, butchered your surname, from Kenya. Where are we up to? 30 seconds left. I got last minute call up for the Ironman Pro Am 5K as part of the Ironman Kona coverage and virtual racing. I was paired with Dan Gampon, who's an age grouper based in Kona and a generally awesome chap. Dan was clearly the stronger athlete of our partnership, and he smoked along a Leahy Drive for his 5K. But check out the coverage it went out on Facebook today, and if you want to see one of my favourite runs in Girona, it was a beautiful morning yesterday. Go and have a look. And the question is, did I do it in my underpants or not? Till next time, aloha.
Okay, did you guys see that sprint finish by Sarah Hall to go from third place to it was third place to second, wasn't it? Yeah, pretty sure. It was phenomenal, and I think the commentator was writing her off as well in terms of, second place has got this in the bag now. But and you say sprint, but she seemed to be, how far was it from the finishing line that she kicked? And oh my gosh, it was like she was doing a 400 meter race. She was absolutely flying. It was amazing to watch. You don't often see finishes like that in marathon racing, that's for sure. It was unreal. Now guys, I've actually got a really good update from, remember that photo we posted from a cycling crit a couple of weeks ago, which caused a bit of a stir? I do have some really good feedback and updates about that photo. I actually ended up chatting to the president of one of the cycling clubs a few days after we did the Witsup weekly grind. And, I fully admit, and at the time I did admit that I'm not fully across crit racing, and there's a couple of things that I was trying to figure out as we were having a discussion. So we spoke about that, about the intricacies of crit racing at a club level. We spoke for about an hour, and she was really open to my thoughts as an outsider. And I think by the end of the conversation, it was almost like she recognized that from an outsider's point of view, what kind of story is that telling to people outside of the cycling world? And perception is reality. And she opened my eyes to many different ins and outs of crit racing that I didn't fully understand, that I hadn't even thought of. And it was a really interesting chat. But anyway, the following weekend, she said, she recognized that she fully believes that if you can see it, you can be it. And by placing Emma Jeffcoat off to the side of the podium for the podium shot, didn't send the right message that she wanted their club to be sending out there. Now that club does some incredible things in getting women and girls involved in cycling. I should have penned it last week, but we were just super flat out with Cairns and the come down from Cairns as well. So I haven't penned an article yet, but I will pull together a bit of an article to explain our entire conversation and the steps and processes that they have now put in place to make a difference at that cycling club. I was blown away that they turned it around so quickly after our conversation. And I'm not saying that it was just our conversation that kickstarted those changes, but it was a conversation that that made people think probably a little bit differently. And I, for one, am super excited that and I was pretty fired up, as you can tell. It may have also been that I was really tired. Ruth Bader Ginsburg had just passed away over the weekend, and I was pretty fired up about everything. And so maybe it did take that sort of blowing off some steam on that Witsup weekly grind a couple of weeks ago to then initiate a conversation. I'm not too sure a conversation would have gone ahead had we not sort of blown up about it. So I'm really happy that it could turn into a really productive conversation. And like I say, I will pen an article together to explain everything that we talked about, some of the nuances that I didn't fully appreciate or understand when it comes to crit racing, especially at a club level. And essentially just find the positive in that story, which there's far more positives than negatives to come out of that situation. And that's what I'm really excited about. And that's what I think is really important to sort of convey, is that conversations can actually make a difference. So I was super excited to have that conversation with her. And really awesome woman doing some really amazing things at the cycling club level. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's just go back to a quick story. We're going to get Kama involved. My last Kona has my best story. I committed to go 5 weeks out, took my slot in March just in case, with family issues going on that had built to a horrendous situation in 2015. Hit the island with no expectations, without the long rides or runs over 2 hours under my belt, and raced the best and least stressed I have ever raced. Of course, you've still put it in brackets, participated. If you are at the World Championships, you're not participating, Kama. But I do like that story. And it's amazing what a different mindset can do to the outcome of an event or a race. That is for sure. Any more stories? I'm just going to remind you about our Witsup Kona cooking show with Chef Brady. It will be kicking off on Saturday. If you are here in the Southern Hemisphere, let's just go with Australia and New Zealand. And it will be Friday, late afternoon, evening if you're in North America. Stay tuned for all the details, but we will be cooking poke bowl. We even say cooking. We'll be making poke bowls, acai bowls, and I'll step in for the important thing, which is the pina colada. And we'll be going through that. We just want everyone to get involved, reminisce about Kona. We're going to be bringing in some special guests, so you'll see some special guests. Actually, I'm going to tell you who one of them it is. It is fan favourite Lindsay Corbin. The reason we're getting her in is because she is fan favourite, but also her and Brady have a bit of a headbutting situation, and that all stems from when we did our first, what did we even call it? Rate My Food with Chef Brady video, and he did not rate Lindsay Corbin's food, well, her presentation, all that high, and it's caused a bit of a stir. So that's why we're getting her on to see whether that headbutting will continue. And obviously, she is a very good cook, and her husband, Chris, takes some amazing photos as well. And I think that they got a very raw deal from Chef Brady. So I'm expecting fireworks during our Witsup Kona cooking show. It should be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of other guests who hopefully will be tuning in, and we'll be crossing live to them as they go through making their poke bowls, acai bowls, and pina coladas. I think we're going to have to get some longboard beers as well. Yeah. You know, because we got the sweetness from the pina colada. We might have to get, a little bit more of the savoury-esque type flavours in the longboard beers. I think so. I reckon I'll hunt one down. Okay, that is it from me. Hope you are all doing well. Look after yourselves. Keep an eye out on, the Kona coverage across the globe this week from all different outlets, I think is going to be going a bit crazy. So keep an eye out for that. Get excited. Enjoy the ride. Look after yourselves. And I will see you here next week. But I'll hopefully see you Saturday in Australia, which is Friday in North America. All right, take care. Peace out. Oh, I should have had this ready. Let's do that again. Take care. Peace out. Oh, God, the wheel again. It's just not a smooth transition.